Okay, so last time we went over the reference implementation for homework assignment number 5. I didn't talk about, I only talk about HW5 produce, but I didn't talk about HW5 merge. So I'm going to tell you two things. Number one is what need to be considered in the HW5 merge. And the other thing is I'm going to show you a little bit about how to implement Jdump. So for homework assignment number 4, part 3, you already know how to do dump J. But I have told you the concept about Jdump, but I never show you a piece of code. So I would like to show you some example about the Jdump. So and also after I did this, I'm going to upload a new version of a reference package, including the segment of codes that I'm going to use today. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So all the code you will see, I will share, okay? So don't worry about this. Let me turn it off. I assume you can see my terminal, okay? All right, so I'm going to show you the simplest one is action, all right? So let's look at action. So action, as we say that we are having the dump J and the Jdump. By the way, part of the reason I would like to update the reference package, I realized that the version I gave you, I actually didn't have this particular null constructor for some of the .h file. For most of the .h file, some of the .h file it has, but for like action, it doesn't have. So the newer version you will get, it will have this null constructor, okay? So let me actually look at how you will actually get this as an example. So action, this is action.cpp, and now you can see that I now have a new constructor put here, that this is the null constructor, means that I just create an object, I nullify or initialize all the values. So you can see the difference between these two. This one is a traditional core object constructor, which we have been using, and it has all this parameter, but this one doesn't have anything. And so I just set the string, because I don't have anything, the argument name, the name of the action, I'm going to put just a null string. By the way, this is important, the difference between the C++ string, std colon string, versus the C string, which is, C string is just character star, which is a pointer to a character, so you can say null. But in the C++ string, which is a standard library string, you cannot say this name is equal to null. You have to say, if you want to give a null empty string, you have to say like this, double quote, to represent is an empty string. There are multiple ways to do this, but this is probably the easier ways. Okay. All right, so this is a dump J. You're probably already familiar with this. It just action has multiple object that has a name, has also the core object. So this is the way you can actually produce the dump J in the action, okay? But here is the part that actually go the other way, which is the Jdump. So remember Jdump, you're actually taking a JSON object, which is the input JSON PTR, which is a pointer to the JSON value. And then if this reverse dumping from the JSON to the C++ is successful, you will return a true. Otherwise, you're going to return a false. Okay, so the reason I want to give this lecture mainly because I realized that I have to tell you that you have to do a lot of check before you really dump the JSON into the C++, because you don't know what is actually incoming. This is about interface. This is about object-oriented paradigms. Is that it's an encapsulation inside that somebody actually throw me a argument into this function called Jdump. And I know is a JSON, but I don't really know what it is. It could be a lot of random stuff. So I have to do some check before I can really dump. So you can see that the reason is I really want to show you this piece of code. That this set of code is really just checking that whether the JSON that you just input to this Jdump is actually well formed or not. So the number one I'm actually check is that I actually check whether this one is a null or not. I mean, whether you just gave me a pointer, whether this pointer is actually a null pointer. And number one is a null pointer. Number two, you see that I want to check whether this is actually an object. So number one is a null, so means that this JSON, if it's null, then I'm going to return false immediately. And the second one is I want to check whether this is an object. So in JSON, that whenever you have a JSON value, it could be an object, it could be a string, it could be a number. By the way, this is actually a good resources. Let me actually do a Google search. I always like to see this part. Okay, if you actually go to this link, I probably should send this link out. This is my manual. Whenever I do JSON programming related to this, I actually take a look. This is JSON C++, okay? And let me send it to the chat so you can actually see what I'm seeing. Where's my chat? Ah, here. Okay, you go to this place. Okay, so it has all the function that you can actually call. For example, you can see that this, let me actually make it a little bit bigger. You can see that whenever you have a JSON value class, this is called JSON colon value class reference. And it has a bunch of check over here. You see that this is null, is bool, whether this is a Boolean value as a JSON, or the JSON could be an integer or an unsigned integer, or it's a double, numerical, string, array. And here is the one I just used, is this an object? Because we're actually trying to convert this JSON object to C++ object. It has to be an object. What's our definition of object? Means that everything is encapsulated with a pair of curly brackets, and inside is a bunch of key value pair. That's called an object. If you just give me a number, is an integer or is a double. Okay, so that's why you see that I'm actually calling this function called isObject. All right. So this is very useful resources. You can see that the first thing I'm actually check whether that pointer is null. The second thing I want to check whether it's an object. If it's not an object, I'm not going to do Jdump. I'm going to return immediately. That's why I just return false. Okay. The next part is this part. Essentially, this 5 lines of code is generic for every single Jdump. For no matter what you're doing, action, comment, reaction, or post, the first 5 lines must be this 5 line because it has to check. If this check failed, you don't need to continue the Jdump anymore. The next section of check is actually class specific. So this set of check is actually specific to action, because I want to make sure that if you want to actually configure my C++ object, I want to make sure that this JSON has those needed information for me to have. So in this case, I need this 5 information: host URL, owner VSID, class ID, object ID, and name. This 5. So those 5 cannot be null. If those 5 are null, then essentially I'm not going to continue. I'm going to return false. So number 1, it has to be null. But number 2, that those 5 things must be string. I mean, that's according to my class specification, whether it's a string or not. So I'm actually checking whether this is a string. Is null, is string. So I can actually check. So unless you actually have this check, this set of check completed, then I cannot move forward. So in fact, any of this fail, I'm going to return false as well. So this chunk of code, let me actually show you another piece. For example, if I do reaction.cpp, okay, this is the same thing. Look at Jdump. You see that the Jdump, let me put one first. You can see that this 5 lines of code is always there for Jdump. For this is reaction.cpp. It also check whether the object is null. Then it's actually going to check this few things. Okay, check because a reaction must have a type, reaction must have a from, reaction must have a creator time. If you don't have that, I'm going to fail. So you can see that, however, the type must be a string, the from is an object, and then the creator time is a string as well. Okay, so there are a set of checks that's actually you need to perform before you can move forward to do really the Jdump. Okay. All right, so I'm actually going back to action because action is probably the easiest one for you to follow. Okay, so inside the action, after you have this, then now I'm going to actually assign the pointer. So what I did is that I actually I copy this. Now you see that I know the name I already checked. I know it is not null, and it is also is a name. Sorry, is a string because I know it is. So what I did, you see that I'm actually grabbing this part, which is extract the key value pair, the value part of the key value pair of the name out of this JSON, the input JSON, and I treat it as a string. Okay, so this is also in the JSON C++ library. Is also very useful. One is like is null, is string, is object, and the other one is as string, as double, as whatever. So this is the same thing. If you look at the link I just sent you, you can see that. Sorry, let me flip back. You can see that this has a bunch of as string, as int, as unsigned int, as double. Okay, basically as bool. So basically JSON allow you to basically convert whatever inside the JSON into a type that will be accepted to C++. So you're using this as and is routine, and you have size, you have empty, you have a bunch of things. In fact, this is really valuable if you want to do anything kind of JSON C++ programming. That this page I sent you a few minutes ago is really, really handy. Okay. All right. So I'm actually going to you see I'm doing reverse. If you look at the dumpj, what dumpj is doing is over here. Dumpj is putting this name into the result pointer name. So I'm putting the value into the key value pair. But over the Jdump is reverse. Okay, after you perform the check, you can do the reverse direction. Reverse direction is not that hard. Okay, for the simple case, it's not that hard. And you can see that I'm just basically sending it over. Assign to this name, assign to owner VSID, assign to host URL, thing, blah, 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 like this. And it's because all 5 of them are strings, so I always use S string and then send it over there. And if I reach this point, I would just return true because everything is gone. Okay, any question?
Professor, I had a question about the second check statement.
Sure.
Shouldn't it be ors instead of ands if you're checking for if any of them are null between each condition?
Yes, you're right. You're right. I actually tried to fix today. Yes, I actually reversed this direction. This should be or. Yes. Yes, this is all should be or. Sorry. I will show you what I did earlier today, and you will know why I make this bad mistake. Thank you. Thank you very much for pointing out. Yeah, all of this should be or.
Professor?
Yes.
So even for homework 4 part 3, do we need to like do all this checking thing that you're showing us?
No, homework 4
No.
part 3, you don't need to do
Okay,
Jdump.
this is all right. This is
This
only
is
for
homework
the
5. Yeah,
5.
homework
Okay.
4 is only dump J, the
Okay.
previous one, and this
I got you.
is Jdump. Yeah, Jdump
Okay.
is the other direction. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was good catch. Let me actually show you. Remember last night I told you that I in the spring 2020 we didn't do this Jdump. We basically have a huge function. So I put it in the new reference directory. I put a new reference directory. This is the file. I call it JPost, jsontopost _ spring 2020. That this is the program that we use. So let me actually show you how it looks like so you can have some idea. So this part is a small function. That's fine. But the huge function started from, let me see, from here, jsontopost. Okay, so jsontopost is essentially taking everything that we about Jdump and into one big function. So basically you can see that we're actually just doing this kind of checking. If this is null, if the string true, things like that. So because I was doing a positive check, so everything is end over here, it's not or. So when I convert it over there, I kind of change everything to be returned false. So this is why I forgot to change the end to or section. So the action part, let me actually show you what it is. So for example, the action part, wait a minute, where's the action part? No, sorry. Yeah, this must be here. This is the action part. You can see that we actually do this bunch of check, and then inside here, this is basically the check you just saw. So previously, what we did in the Jdump, that we do all the checks over here, and then we basically just create an object using those things we get it out, and we do this for each section of the JSON. Okay, so that's this code. I'm also included in the reference, so you can actually take a look at like how we did it before. So this might help you in terms of handling some of the cases. Okay. All right. Any question about action.cpp? Okay, I want to show you very quickly the other one, which is I want to show you the reaction, because reaction is a little bit different. It's not only handle string, but handle the object. So let me see. Yes, I can kill this one. So here's a reaction part. So we're going to do the Jdump. So you see that the Jdump is also the first, this one should be OR as well, I believe, because everything has to be reversed. Okay, I will fix it before I send it to you. This is all should be OR. So the structure looks really similar. It's checking this 5 line and then checking this 3 variable type, from, and created time. However, the difference is that for type and created time, they're both string. That's why it's is string or is string. But for the from, it's actually an object, because the from is a person, and the person object has an avatar name and has the name itself. The ID. So now let's take a look how we actually connect. So for example, the type, when this type, I actually assign the type to this type as a string, just like you saw before, nothing surprise. And I do want to show you that this part, that when I do the created time for the JV time, I essentially just basically create a new JV time object and using the string, but this one take a C string. So that's why I do a .C string. So basically, you can use the string.c underscore string to convert between C++ string and the C string. And this will create the JV time I put in there. Okay, what I really want to share with you is this part, is the author part. Okay, the person. So how do we do the person part? So essentially what we did is here is that I first create an empty person. Okay, I want to create a new author. So I create an empty person. So you can see that this author is equal to new person. And now what I'm going to do is I recursively call Jdump for that object that I just checked that this object exists. I call the Jdump into that person I just created. Okay, so basically I do this. If it's successful, if that object is really being handled by the Jdump at the person level successfully, then I will not do this. But if it's a false, then the return code of the bool is going to be false. If the false, I'm going to return false as well. So it means that my Jdump failed. I can throw a false message to the upper level who actually called this. Okay. And also just want to tell you that now we can actually see the recursive. Now we can see the person. And it's a similar thing. If you look at the structure, they're really similar. Where's person? Okay, person. Here. Did I just pass? Yeah, person Jdump. Yeah, everything has to, if you see 2n, it has to be OR. It's the same thing. You check this object on the null, and you actually check whether it has an avatar name, has a VSID, if they're both is a string. If they're both the same, then you basically just assign avatar name into the avatar name, VSID, and then you return true or false depending on the condition. So you can see that it's really just perform the checking and then just reverse back. The only thing that's going to be tricky is how do you handle the merge? When you handle the merge, the only thing you need to worry about is that if somebody introduces a new comment, you want to make sure that this comment is not duplicate. Or somebody insert a new reaction, you want to make sure that the reaction is not duplicate. So when you do the merge, you really need to worry about those two things, that whether a comment's already be inserted versus whether a reaction has already been inserted. Okay, so for comments, whether this comment is a duplicate comment is easier because you can check the ID, because every comment has an ID that you can do that. And the reaction, which is our rule, is very simple, is that a person, one person means that a avatar name plus their VSID can only provide reaction to the same content once. So if you click like or click love on this comment once, you cannot do a second time. Basically, we want to make sure that everybody only have a 1 vote in that system. Okay, so so just show you a piece of code. I realize that this piece of code might be helping you, so I'm actually updating quite a bit of information in the comment.cpp, which you don't have. In the Jdump, you can see that I actually now loaded a piece of code help you to handle the ID stuff, because you have a profile ID, post ID, and comment ID. And this piece of code, in fact, is from the JSON_post.cpp. I put it there. And it basically help you to, how do you actually handle the string that was 2 underscore separate? How do you actually convert it back to 3 different string? Using, I use scanf, but you probably can figure out other way to do it, is using this format string for you to help to separate 1 string into 3 string with underscore there. Okay, so we're using this to actually check for you. All right. Yeah, this one is comment.cpp. Okay. Any question before I close this one? I want to talk about final project. any quick question? Otherwise, we'll wait for 5 p.m. Okay.
Professor, when will you post this new code?
Tonight.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to put the update version tonight. Right. Okay, but I have to fix all the stuff. Thank you for finding out that particular bug. That's actually very good.
And so the updated code is for homework part 1 and part 2 as well.
That's actually is the reference implementation cover both part 1 and part 2. It doesn't cover a web report, which I expect that you need to figure out yourself. Okay.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying the new code, the one that you're doing, the one that you're showing us right now.
What do you mean that it cover both part 1? It's just adding more stuff into the reference implementation I gave out on Wednesday.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thank you.